down, sweetheart. Calm down.
Tell me to stop, Daddy.
You're breaking up.
All of this is to start our new life.
Thanks for watching another Slice of SciFi video review. I'm Noah Richmond.
And I'm Daren.
We are talking about Alien Covenant, the latest in the Alien films, and directed by none other than Ridley Scott. This film pretty much picks up after Prometheus, a film that I didn't care for. I think you were maybe a little bit bigger of a fan of than I was.
I was.
But Prometheus was a film that, brought up a lot of questions about origins of life and finding this alien race that designed and created humans, and tried to, bring up, what shall we say, metaphysical kinds of questioning. This film, they throw in a little bit of that, but this film really kind of goes back to being a more straight up alien film. You have a colony ship that is in space. They're on their way to a new port. People are in hypersleep. A solar storm winds up hitting the ship. It takes damage. Everybody wakes up prematurely and find that after waking up, they are receiving messages from a nearby planet they were previously unaware existed.
From John Denver, no less.
And it's a John Denver music. Yeah.
It's just really random.
So anyway, I would have to state just up front, me talking about a new Alien film needs to be taken with a little bit of a grain of salt because I haven't really been a huge fan of the Alien series. I did really enjoy the second one.
Cameron's Aliens.
Yeah, I enjoyed Cameron's Aliens quite a bit. I didn't see the first one. I was pretty young when it first came out. By the time I did see it, I thought it was just sort of slow and ponderous, and why not just make a slasher film was my feeling about it. And Prometheus to me was just, it was too slow and too, what is the meaning of? And, I wanted it to just be more of a fun film. So on one hand, you kind of have to take anything I say with a grain of salt because this isn't a series I've been a huge fan of anyway. Having said that, I probably did enjoy this one the most of the Scott Alien films that I've seen.
So you like Fincher's version of it? David Fincher's Alien 3?
Oh, Alien 3? I mean, it was fine for what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't like it as a sequel to Aliens, but,
Too much of a departure.
If you pretended it had nothing to do with that film,
Yeah.
I didn't think it was as bad as some people say. But so this one, for me, I thought it really it was very well made, very well filmed. It had a lot of solid elements. It had some action scenes that I really was very gripped with. Obviously, like any Ridley Scott film, it's just visually stunning. But when all is said and done, there's stuff that I enjoyed, and it's also not really my thing. So I'm not sure I'm the best person to talk about it, so I'm going to turn it over to somebody who is a little more of a fan of the series.
I was terrified when I first saw Alien, and that, while it doesn't have the same effect on me now, obviously, but it still resonates with me. The thing I've always loved about Ridley Scott movies is the sense of scale. He just puts these large ideas and set pieces and make you feel so small in them. And the idea, what he's trying to do is initially emotionally make you feel small because there's so much more that we haven't, learned about. And I'd like the simple question of like this, who created us? And of course, the fine pointed question that David asks his creator. And it's one of those magical questions that, I think everybody would like to know the answer to. And so, and Ridley Scott has always kind of tackled that concept in a lot of his movies, symbolically, of course. But I thought Prometheus was a fairly enjoyable movie. It presented a lot of concepts that were new to the alien mythology. If anything, it created more questions. So going into this one, I was very, obviously very interested, and for the most part, I'm very pleased in how he addressed some of them. I don't know if I'm, exactly 100% thrilled that the answers he did give were the ones that, the whole franchise now is based on. Some of this, the foundation of the franchise now, actually. And this movie also has a totally different, I guess, if you want to call them antagonist. The aliens have, while they're going to still be equally effective and scary, that's to be expected. I mean, watching an aliens film, there's something obviously that's going to be even quite more horrific, and that's with the artificial intelligence. And Fassbender, who plays David, he does an amazing job in his role, by the way. He plays the same, another android that looks just like him named Walter, and it's very well done. And I think he really brought a lot of I don't know, calm intensity, if you can say that, to this role. I don't know about you, but I think the idea of an android who's able to think for itself and decide and ask questions like that, it's pretty terrifying to me. It's like Ex Machina was, It's like once you realize that there's more to than just the maker.
Right.
So yeah, I thought this movie was really enjoyable. I mean, it did feel like a lot of familiar. It was like a cookie cutter I've seen before, and I was able to almost predict what was going to happen before it even happened. And it's like, and that's what you got to be expected. I mean, it's an alien movie. We've all seen the same scenario. Go up, check out the land and make sure it's something that you can colonize with. Bring something back to the ship. Of course, creature gets on the ship, and next you have chaos. And that's simplifying it a little bit, but it felt familiar. But then again, I don't know how much more original you can make an alien film these days.
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
I'm not as terrified by aliens anymore, but I just will say this real quick. The alien creature isn't as terrifying to me as it once was. So having said that, I still found moments of terror in the movie, though. And that wasn't, of course, with the alien. It was with David. So I liked it. It's a good story in the mythology of aliens. So, and I think most people love aliens. We're gonna love it too. So.
Yeah, as I said, for me, there was definitely stuff to enjoy, but on the whole, I just found it a downer.
Oh yeah, well.
It was a very heavy movie, and I didn't really see what I got out of it in the end. It just sort of seemed heavy and depressing for its own sake of being heavy and depressing. And
well, it's sci-fi horror, man. Is that even a genre anymore, or do you know?
Yeah, but I've always enjoyed sci-fi horror. Like all the stuff I grew up with, stuff in the '80s, was gory and dark and whatever. But somehow I still found it fun. This to me just wasn't fun to watch. It was. It had its moments, but
yeah, you were there were a couple of scenes that I can see, Rick. You flinched a little bit, and I will say that there were effective scenes. For almost an 80-year-old director, Ridley Scott still has something to prove, and that's in itself is very impressive. To be an 80-year-old film director and still making AAA movies, it's pretty impressive, actually. So
yeah. All right. Well, I think those are our thoughts about Alien Covenant. And thank you for watching Slice of SciFi.
Bye.